Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Baldwin. This is their part number 9BR7013-001. This is a flush pole is what this is. I have one removed from the packaging here. That's what you're going to get in the package. This is the 001, which means it's a 112 finish, which means it's an oil rub bronze finish. Reserve, 112 is oil rubbed from Baldwin. So what you're seeing here is, I'm for some reason substantially second guessing myself on 112. Yeah, they call it Venetian bronze. Venetian bronze is what 112 is. Sorry, yes, 102 is oil rubbed, is what I was thinking. 112 is Venetian. As I looked at that, I said, that's a little light for oil rubbed. This is 112, what they call Venetian bronze, made of solid brass. So three components. There's the flush pole itself, then there's the backing plate, or the finish plate that goes behind here. Baldwin does something interesting with that plate. Other flush poles that you'll buy will literally show these pieces of architectural metal attached to the back side. Baldwin ships it loose. I would think that makes it less expensive overall. I would think so. Then the third component would be a couple of screws. Let's take a dimensional review of this item right now. Okay, dimensional properties. Overall height of the flush pole. Looks like it's about 3 1/8, just heavy on that. Overall width, looks like it's about 1 5/16, 1 1/4. Overall depth, at least without the plate, it looks like it's about 3/8. Then that plate, of course, is just a very thin piece of architectural metal. We won't bother measuring that. Well, although, I'll take the thickness, just so that we can archive that information. 0.028, 0.028. Then, of course, a couple of small screws. So, what is this item? What is it used for? Why would you need it? Let's talk about that now. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. It's a flush pole, and flush poles are going to be used in sliding door applications, whether it be a pocket door, a door that will go into a pocket, although the term pocket is used in two very different ways. In the residential sense, it's a door that will slide into a pocket in a wall. In a commercial sense, it is a door that will swing into a pocket, rendering the construction of the wall and the door and the hardware that you've used to be flush with that wall. Very fascinating when it's used as a commercial swinging pocket door, in the sense that you have very interesting hinges, which are known as, sometimes they're called pocket pivots, but the term that you would be able to find a tremendous amount of historical information, encyclopedic information online would be the term Harmon hinge. Harmon hinge is what those are known for. And the pivot point is down in the center of the door, so that when it rotates, the door rotates around that vertical axis of pivoting. And when you build the wall correctly, and that generally a pair of doors, when they open, there's a clear opening where the doors are now, just think about a hinge, and when you open that door, the door encroaches into the space a little bit. No one really thinks about it in most instances, but there are many instances where you must be very aware of it, whether it be an application where I've got a 36-inch cart, and if I have a 30-inch door, is that going to work? Or a 32-inch door. That's a better example. The answer is no. Or if it's an application that is mandated to be compliant with ADA compliance. So you really have to know that. Plus, egress code is based on occupancy, how many people can be there, and that will then dictate the clear opening width that you can have in scenarios like that. So the term pocket's used two different ways, and really it's divided, into kind of, well, if you're talking residential, it's probably this. If you're talking commercial, it may be this, or if it's hospital, it's very, very certainly this, a swinging application. But you can have either door type in either application. You just have to be clear about it. The point is it's a term that's used loosely to describe different things. So obviously a flush pull is no good when the door is in the pocket. You obviously would have an edge pull that would go along with this. Or you're doing bypass doors, okay? And you're just going to have a couple of flush pulls that will allow you to move those doors in the direction that you need. That would be another reason for a flush pull. You can't pull on it. You can't get a finger pull, so it's not for a swinging door application. It wouldn't be for that at all. This is, and that's where you're going to use this. Now, let's talk about the installation. Let's talk about the different finishes, and let's switch now to the screen view, and let's take a closer look at all of that. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. Okay, so here are the items that we have listed. 001 is a 112 finish, Venetian bronze. 002 is a 150 finish, that's satin nickel. 003 is a 260, that's polished chrome. 004 is an 003 finish, that's a lifetime brass. 005 is a 152 finish, I think that's an antique nickel. 152 matte antique nickel. I have my cheat sheet up here. And then the last finish was listed as an 006, which is 049, probably some version of an antique brass, matte brass and black. Yeah, 049. 049 matte brass and black. That's just from the Baldwin website, from the main page, at least currently. Finishes. I would just Control F, type in finishes, I would find it, and there you go. Baldwin is, with their finish codes, they don't use BHMA numbers. The Builders Hardware Manufacturers Association has a standardized list of finish codes that tells you the finish and also tells you the base material, several dozen of them. But Baldwin does it the way it was done over 100 years ago, where every manufacturer has their own code. The only trouble with that is and I think it was revealed in the 1930s or so, when there was a government-led initiative to standardize finish codes. Because if you wanted hinges from Yale and locks from Corbin and stair tread bars from Sargent, and they probably all made those products then, you were going to run the very likely reality of not getting all matching finishes. Well, they standardize. So if a manufacturer uses a standard BHMA code, it is to equal that from another manufacturer that will use the same code. Baldwin uses their own codes, which is pre-1930 approach to finish codes. However, you'll find substantial direct equals. So what I'm saying is a 102 oil rubbed, that is going to mean 102 oil rub from someone else. If you have a 260 polished chrome, yeah, that's going to be 625. That's going to match up perfectly. Where you get into trouble is when you have finishes that only Baldwin makes for their products. Distressed nickel, you're not going to find hinges in distressed nickel. Another example of that might be vintage brass, 033, versus a satin brass, which is a 606 or a US 4. There wouldn't really be an equal to that. And obviously Baldwin does that because you fall in love with a finish and then you can buy the entire line from them. So I think they have a nice balance, actually, once I think of it, of standard finishes that you can get from other people, and then their own ecology of finishes that you'll stay within the Baldwin biosphere, so to speak, and purchase all their material, or as much of the builder's hardware as you can from them. All right, so those are the finishes. We're doing the 001, which is a 112 Venetian bronze. Let's take a look at the photographs that we have. There's the packaging. There's everything outside of the packaging. Very nice finish, nice fit and finish, actually. showing the back of the unit. It's clearly cast brass. Then your 2 small screws. So there is also below this video a link to the installation instructions, and let's talk about that now. Installing these are really easy. Easy in the sense of the procedure by which you install them. How you go about putting tool on work is you to determine. A hammer and chisel is clearly what they're thinking you're going to use here, although they're not listed. These are your primary components. Tools needed. You're going to need a hammer and chisel. I'm not sure why that's not here. So they're giving you the size. You can also use the cover as a template to trace around. You're going to drill a 1-inch hole here and here. Probably you can drill another one right here. I would, and then I would hammer and chisel that all flush. Remove the material. Then at that point you'll take that cover and you're going to turn the ears over, is what you'll end up doing, and sliding that in, all of that into the unit. Then they want you to trace the outside of the face itself and then mortise for that. They don't give us a size. Remove material until fit is flush. Once you have your preparation looking like this, insert it, mark your holes. You've obviously turned the ears over of the rear cover at that point to slide it all in. Pre-drill a couple of holes, a 1/4 inch deep, 3/32 diameter. That's a tiny little drill bit. And then secure it in. So my approach to this would be most definitely a router. And before I cut anything, I would determine what height do I want this at. I would do an audit of the rest of the doors in the space, determine what height would match everything else, and then I would determine what back set I wanted it at. I would probably, again, mimic what else is in the space, 2 3/8 or 2 3/4, whatever you might like. I would certainly use a router for this. I would have a template made to do just the body prep, which is here. That would be really, it'd be very easy to make a template for this. You would clamp it onto the door, drop your router into it. You would use a plunge router so that you are not going to, of course, attempt to prep all that at one time. You would drill a hole into it and then insert your router bit in there and then turn your route around and route around until you have that done. Then you would use a secondary template that would have your faceplate preparation. Again, insert the router that all flush to the proper depth, and then square out the corners. That's how I would do it. Hammer and chisel and a 1-inch fly bit, sure. If you're going to do a couple of these, absolutely. But if you're going to do a lot of these, take the time, take the hour plus it would take to make the template, because the work will go really fast at that point. And actually, if you're considering doing that, what I would do, because laziness is the mother of invention, I would make my template a piece of so your template can look like this. Okay, just exaggerating it. You're going to need a template to do that prep. You're going to need a template to do the square prep. Okay, the rectangular prep, I should say. What I would do is I would take the time and I would make myself a piece of 1x poplar that would go like this. Actually, probably more like this. That, when I squared it off here and made it flush here, I know that I'm going to be at the proper height to the center line. So that's eliminating measuring right there. Then what I would do is I would determine my back set, and I would put my oval prep in the proper location. So if it was 2 3/8 from the edge to here, that's where I would put my center line. Then I would take my center line here, 2 3/8, and I would put a rectangular prep. So all I did was flip this template over. Made it really fast and easy. I don't make a living as a woodworker, but I've spent countless hours in a wood shop doing exactly this. And you got to keep it easy. You got to ritualize the process, meaning eliminate the chance for error every single time so you can just rip through these really quick. Doing 1 or 2 is not a big deal. Doing 28 and you've got 4 hours to do it, that's a hassle. So That's my 2 cents on how to speed up that process. There is a link below this video, as seen here, to the manufacturer's page, and when you click on that, you'll be able to pull up not only all of the Baldwin products that we sell by means of this horizontal navigation as seen here, but also a link to the manufacturer's product catalog, several prior product catalogs. The one that I like the most is this old estate, Baldwin estate specifications and price list. That's about 8 years old. I like it because I'm familiar with it, and it is a comprehensive document. There's not much that's not in this document that is discontinued when you're dealing with the estates line. Mortise locks, tubular locks that would be used in interior applications that would match all of what you are working with. Very high quality product backed by a very high quality level of customer service and technical support. Let's switch back to the screen view, wrap up this video, and I'll share with you a quick story about that. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. So my story that I would recall is I have spoken to Baldwin a handful of times where I needed help. I needed technical support. I didn't have the answer, and the material wasn't available to me to determine an answer. Every single time that I call there, every time, I am taken care of quite professionally, and it's usually the person who answers the phone can also answer the technical question. And occasionally, I am transferred to someone else. But in every instance, the person that I speak to me, it's just amazing. They know exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm not asking for the definition of 060 finish. I'm talking about a 45-year-old mortise lock that a spring has failed, and I need technical support on that spring. So we're deep into product knowledge, and they excel. I had a client 2 weeks ago email me throwing his hands up in the air because he has a rim lock. So if you looked up Baldwin's rim locks, and if you looked up lock construction from the 19th century, this is the large rectangular surface-mounted or rim-mounted lock body that will have a rim strike. It will usually have a knob. It will have a bit, and it will have a bit key. Some people call them skeleton keys. That's okay. Think of a skeleton key. And this lock is, who knows how many decades old it is. Decades. It could be 100 years old easily. And the client was throwing his hands in the air saying, you know, I've called them and I need this spring and I'm not getting anywhere with them. And I replied saying that is the opposite of all of my experience with Baldwin. And I encouraged the client, listen, you've got a 100-year-old lock. You know, it may have just given up the ghost. You can't get parts. But I reiterated, I've had exceptional technical support experience. He contacted Baldwin back and then messaged me back and said, it exactly happened the way that you said that it would. I talked to someone the first time who was exceptional. They identified 2 of the 3 springs that I needed and basically knew the third and are sending them to me at no charge. Now, I won't speak on behalf of Baldwin sending stuff at no charge, but that would not be the first time I've heard of them doing that. And to me, it's amazing, given the size of the footprint that Baldwin, in terms of a client base that they sell to have that small, local, hometown, walk in, say hi, shake the guy's hand, have a cup of coffee relationship with a major manufacturer who's owned by some other company. Sister companies with Kwikset, interestingly enough. So that's been my experience with them, and that's why I prefer them, not only for their hardware, but for as much as I can buy from them. Having said that, I don't like their hinges. I'm not a fan of the design of their hinges. I would prefer to use someone else's hinges because I find, actually for interior, low-volume doors, they're great. For doors that get a lot of use, I would not consider the Baldwin hinge. I don't like their design where the tips are threaded on and there's a pin that's inside. Well, over time, those threaded tips, whether it be a button tip or a steeple tip or an acorn or an urn tip, whatever tips they sell, those come loose, and that's a maintenance issue long term. Decorative tips are usually threaded together, so you're going to deal with that. But generally, you'll have, you know, one attached to the hinge pin, and then the other is threaded on, which you can put on the bottom. I find that to be a more successful approach. Use thread lock when you're using that stuff. And actually, those doors that people install these hinges on that you have the trouble with are indeed those heavier, high-volume application doors, which in my opinion should have a thicker grade hinge to begin with. Having said that, their fit and finish is always quite exceptional. If you have any questions on the 9BR7013 and 001 or a 112 finish or any other Baldwin product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up. Please subscribe and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.